Kelly Shaefer, Atheist, Tell the Dirt. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, dude. I can't complain. You guys have been super busy. Tell the Dirt put out a new record. Atheist has been touring. Start at the top, man. Tell us what you've been up to.
Just had to put together a new lineup in 2023 of the Atheist band, and so in the process of that, we went out. We did a North American tour with Cynic, and then we did a European tour with Cryptopsy, and we did some Mexican dates just recently. So we've just been out playing, just loving this new band, and just amazing players and great people to spend time with. And so doing that and writing music, since I'm home pretty much every night, just writing new songs for both, for Atheist. And while we were in Milwaukee, actually, we were able to write some new Atheist stuff. We locked down a rehearsal spot for a day off that we had in between festivals, and wrote a cool song. So we got like four songs that are pretty far along. It's really exciting. So yeah, and then just at my home studio, just writing a bunch of music for Till the Dirt. And I just write every night anyway, just out of just therapy. I see you playing all the time as well. You're always recording something. So yeah, so you know how it is. Just trying to stay creative and keep the ball rolling and have fun,
Oh, absolutely, dude. And writing music's good for the soul. Just besides working out what parts there are, it's like therapy, like you said, man. It's good stuff. And Atheist, hasn't released a record for a really, really long time. I mean, not too long, but like in the world of music, And what can you tell us about the new tunes, man? Like, give us a hint what you guys got going on.
I mean, I think anybody that knows the catalog of the band knows that every record's been different. But the sort of common denominator is always that it's going to be interesting. It's never going to be. I really can't tell. It's difficult to really explain to somebody, but rest assured that it's Atheist 100%, because it's just like each song is like a journey, and it starts in one place and just cruises through so many different emotions and feelings, and it's fun to have a band that's able to do that, and I think I appreciate it more now than I did when I was younger, to have that platform to be able to just throw in an odd jazz moment and then go back to a crushing heavy extreme metal riff. It's as an artist, it's kind of it's nice to have that. So because many other bands, you fall into a sort of pattern or a template of where you feel like you need to be, and we never had any rules, so it's kind of fun, and it has been a really long time, 14 years to be exact, since we've done a record. But it's in the last 5 years we've been held up by a contractual issue that we're trying our asses off to get squared away as fast as possible. So we want to have the whole record written and ready to go in time to sort all that out, and then we can just drop it and have a great year next year and tour our asses off and get on celebrate. We never got to tour a lot back in the day, so it's just kind of nice to get out and play these songs. A lot of songs that never made their way to the stage ever before, especially from Elements. So it's interesting for me, man. It's a lot of fun. I get to play with a bunch of really talented guys and playing some music that are like old friends to me, and so it's a good life, man.
That's great, dude. And like, I thought Jupiter was a great record, and Elements too, man. Elements was super progressive, and like you were saying, Kelly, like every album was different. I mean, Pizza Time's classic, Unquestionable Presence, of course, they're all great records and all classic records, but there was definitely a huge stylistic change from Unquestionable Presence to Elements. Like that music was like straight up jazz. Like that was cool. Like where did the direction come from that one?
A lot of so Tony Choi, that was the first record that we wrote together after Roger passed. So there's that different influence of Tony Choi's sort of Latin jazz style. He's Cuban, so he's got a lot of rhythmic qualities to his bass playing. And then the drummer's name was Josh Greenbaum, and he actually used to play drums for River Phoenix when he was still alive. He had a band called Alakazatic, and so we met River and Joaquin Phoenix back in Micanopy, or outside of Gainesville, back in '93, and hung out with him. And River had this drummer named Josh, and he was just like this young jazz kid he wasn't a metal kid at all. He was like just straight jazz. So but it was exciting just to get in. We only had, you know, a real short amount of time to write and record this stuff. And we'd already, I mean, we only had 40 days to begin with. And by the time Josh came on and Tony came in, there was only about 3.5 weeks left of time to write all those songs and then record them. So that's the incredible part about that record is there was no time to second guess anything. It was like everything just happened really quickly and spontaneously. And it's kind of a testament to, you know, not polishing turds as a songwriter. You know, a lot of times you write something and you think, oh, I don't know, let me work on it some more. Let me work on it some more. I've always had a philosophy. I tend to write. Personally, I like to write in a moment, in a capsuled time, like, and I like to pressure myself to get it done, you know, and because, you know, you're in, you know, as a musician, you're in these different moods and you know, those moods translate to music and playing guitar and singing, whatever it is, and arranging. And so I think that being under that kind of pressure for me, it works a lot better. And apparently it worked great for those guys too, because they crushed it. And that record still stands 30 plus years later, you know, but yeah, a lot of it had to do, I think, with you know, in hindsight, I wonder if I would have had a lot of time, would I have been worried about all that jazz? You know what I mean? Like, oh, is that too much? You know, I mean, because there's a straight up jazz piece on there called Samba Brisa that's, you know, sounds like Spyro Gyra did it. You know, I mean, but I think that's cool. You know, I mean, I think it's something we've always had. We've always had an appreciation for progressive music, and so I think it was just fun just to experiment, you know, with those guys. And then coming back from that to Jupiter was some different musicians, but reuniting with Steve Flynn on drums. So me and Steve have a particular chemistry about us and the way we write, and so that made that record different from all the others. So yeah, it's just you know, it's an experience. It's like fighting, you know what I mean? If you fight somebody 4 times, you're not going to fight the same. You shouldn't fight the exact same way, you know. You should fight differently, you know. So that's what we do.
Well, it's definitely working for you, man. And like, you used to sing and play guitar too. And do you ever miss it, man, when you're up there? Because you're mostly just doing vocals now besides the writing stuff. So is it tough to get out there and like not want to play?
No, not at all. I want no part of it. That's so much work, man. I like playing guitar and writing things and keeping it behind the scene. It's way more fun just to go out and be a front man and sort of MC the party. You know, I mean, it's for me at this age, definitely it's one less thing to worry about. Plus, it's complicated. Playing and singing that stuff really messed my hand up a lot to where I really can't play live anymore. I would have to sit down and to be able to get through a set because my thumb will just fall asleep. But if I'm sitting down, I can play for hours. I just can't stand up. That posture for so many years of bad posture and singing and playing that hard, challenging stuff and not warming up, not, you know, it just fucked up my thumb. So it'd probably be pretty close to impossible for me to pull that off these days. And I'd much rather have, you know, I got a couple of fucking gods beside me, you know, fucking crushing young monsters that are so fun to play with, and they play this music so well, and it just makes me proud and happy, you know. So one of the first times in the last year that the music has sounded so close to the record, like they play the solos, because all the other guys that have been in the band over the years, you know, they'll play signature moments of a solo, but not a note for note fucking thing, you know what I mean? And you know, that really matters, you know, when the notes ring, you know, when your ears are used to hearing something for 30 years and then you come see us for the first time live and then some guy's kind of wanking his way around the solo as opposed to playing, that would bother me. I want to hear the solo the way the solo is written, you know, because it's part of the song. So I think that these guys have really elevated our live sound for the details that they paid attention to and execute every night. So it's a lot of fun, man. So for me, and another thing that people don't think about is those records, people are used to listening to that production from 30 years ago. So it doesn't sound that good. It definitely doesn't compare with today's sonic quality of records. So, but in a live setting, it does. It comes to life in a much heavier way. And so I'm feeling that in a 21st century PA system in a theater, you know, a song like Even On They Slay or Piece of Time just elevates, you know, it just sounds so much thicker and heavier than on the albums, you know. So I think that surprises a lot of people, the energy of those songs, you know.
Yeah, and those songs are all great. Like, dude, like in my opinion, like some of the earliest and some of the best like technical death metal that was written. I mean, you guys, in my opinion, were kind of ahead of your time. And like Roger Patterson. Oh, no problem. Do you like Roger Patterson? Like, excellent bass player, brought so much to the table. And like, like one time we had a conversation about how like death, they were thinking Roger on their in the Inside of Human, like when he passed away and stuff like that. And I think that, Roger really brought a lot to Atheist, and it's cool to hear that like you're saying, those songs being played 100% accurately live. And that's a testament to what you guys are doing, man.
Yeah, Yoav Ruiz Feingold, who plays bass for us now, is he's a Berkeley kid. He pays attention to detail. He's a really great player, but he's also a phenomenal performer, which Roger was as well. Roger was he had a great stage presence about him, and so it just really feels like everything's hitting on all cylinders. And I can't wait to make a record with these guys, and it's going to be sick and crazy. And then I just look forward to just riding off into the sunset on tour. And as long as I can stay alive and kill it, at a top level. But they get Till the Dirt to fuck with too, it's Till the Dirt has been a nice blessing, because that allows me to not have to share opinions. You know what I mean? You as a songwriter as well probably can relate to this, that sometimes it's nice to not have to ask 4 other people whether, is this cool? Do you like this part? Are you sure? And then 3 guys like it, 1 doesn't. And then you know what I mean? You kind of, you have to make concessions. And so with Till the Dirt, I wrote everything, so I don't have to make any concessions. I can just argue with myself and then, put the right, and then, if it sucks, then it's all my fault, but I'm pretty proud of that record. I'm really disappointed that, it kind of, not fell through the cracks, but it's taken a while. It's just frustrating to make music that's different, because it takes a long time for people to get used to it, And so on the Till the Dirt record, there's a lot of old school Seattle vibes, a lot of stoner rock vibes mixed with crazy screams and extreme drumming, and all that combination of things people just apparently weren't quite ready to but I don't know. Are you an extreme guy? Do you like old Soundgarden?
Yeah, it's not bad. Like Bad Motor Finger, I think that's my favorite Soundgarden.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That era, bad, like Jesus Christ Pose, shit like that. That was heavy as fuck. Just a different kind of heavy. So I've always loved that kind of music, and so it's just a natural. And I had a band called Neurotica for a lot of years that was in the late '90s into the 2000s that paid homage to that. We were in that scene then. It was a little more of a rock band, but it was thick and kind of Caius-y, I always loved Caius, and so I just love mixing the two styles, and I didn't think about it. It's just how it came out, and I think you and I had an off the air conversation about it one time, just about how spontaneous that all came together. So I think that formula of writing without spending too much time on something, I think it's just a formula that works for me.
And dude, it does work. I mean, you've written a lot of classic songs, and really, really some songs that were like ahead of their time, man. Especially like the Piece of Time, like that album's, in my opinion, one of the best. Extreme metal albums of all time. Like dude, like that was like a blueprint. I think that, like you're talking modern production quality and stuff, I think Atheist is a band that's going to benefit from having that technology, because it's just gonna, like you said, like back in the old days, the nuances didn't come across like they do live, and so now it's like all that stuff's gonna be heard, and it's gonna be killer.
Just you can listen to a record from today in the last 5 years compared to records back then, and just the loudness of the quality of the sonic production possibilities nowadays is so much different than it was back then. So the same live, especially with triggered drums, it's really if you're able as a drummer to have your drummer mix real drums with triggers, then you get this really nice clear, where it's still very much real drums, but you're getting the click and the clarity that you need to get all the articulation that back in the day you could never hear that shit in live. So you combine all those things with modern guitar tones and modern PA systems, full range systems, and a song like Piece of Time just goes from fucking here to here. It's amazing. I even feel it on stage, like holy shit. And it makes me think of Roger, like how excited he would have been to hear these songs played on a big, like we just played the show at Mexico and big outdoor stage, and playing a song. It just makes me think of him all the time, because he, we just never would have imagined that we'd be doing this 35. That record will be 35 years old next year. Like, my wife is 32. Like what
Totally,
the fuck? I don't know. I had 35 years go by. It's just nuts, man. I mean, It doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't. Time just gets away. So while you're in your 20s right now, enjoy them, guys, because they go fucking, it blows by quick.
Yeah, as soon as you get to be about 35, you start feeling everything, man, and it's
Yeah.
rough, dude. And if take care of yourself too, because you get to the point where you get older, it's just terrible. It's harder to make some positive life choices.
Yeah. I
For
haven't
sure.
though, man. I still drink and smoke, and you know what I mean. I'm gonna go out fucking with a blaze of glory, you know. But I mean, you know, it could be worse. I have other friends that are my age that are in worse shape, so you know, not be 56, man. Fucking, that's crazy. You know, I mean, at 20 years old, you know, signing a record deal with Atheist. I mean, that's nuts. You know, that we're still doing this. You know, at this
Oh,
level too. You know, and, so much more ahead too. So much more fun ahead, and we, you know, write a new record and everything. So it's good to be alive, man.
hell yeah, dude. And I remember one time we had a conversation that you actually sang with what was to become Velvet Revolver. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I was back in 2003, I think, and I had just broken up. Neurotic had just broken up. We came off the Ozfest tour, and I just happened to be like looking online and just saw there was like an advert from Slash saying that he was looking for a real rock singer, and I was like, you know, I'm a fucking real rock singer, and so I reached out to my management, and one thing led to another, and they got a tape out to Slash, and he called me, and so, you know, they had gone through hundreds of auditions and all these different guys and just having a hard time finding a singer, and they really liked the Neurotic album. And so he sent me 3 songs, and so I wrote vocals and recorded them, sent them back, and him and Duff called me on the phone, and I flew to LA and got in a room with fucking Guns N' Roses, man. It was nuts, you know. I was like feeling like such a death metal guy, like, you know, they didn't know anything about Atheist or any of that shit. So they you know, and I didn't want to bring it up because I knew A, it wasn't going to get me the gig, and B, you know, they might even not get me the gig, you know, who knows, maybe they're hardcore Christian guys, you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, fuck it, I don't want to do it. So it was real cool, man. I was out there for 3 days, had a great audition, went in the studio that they did Appetite for Destruction in, and did a song that Slash and Izzy wrote, and then I, you know, I left there with a real good shot at getting that gig. And you know, there was a Rolling Stone article that came out that had myself and a Scott Weiland and Travis Meeks from Days of the New and Sebastian Bach as 4 contenders. They had like pictures of us in there, which was cool. So I was excited to show my mom. I was like, I didn't make the cover of Rolling Stone, Mom, but I got on the inside pages, you know. But yeah, so, you know, and then Duff McKagan's wife and Scott Weiland's wife were friends, so they kind of got the inside tip that he was going to be, you know, out of Stone Temple Pilots and available. And so can't blame them, man. You know, that guy sold 4 million records and I was, you know, essentially a nobody. So, but it was a tremendous experience. And, you know, I got a little line in Flash's book, you know, about sort of the direction, me being a sort of a direction turning moment in the process. Cause they really went through a lot of hell, sitting day in, day out, listening to singers. And, you know, I can relate with having to sit and listen to guitar players and bass players and drummers, you know, trying to go through that process of finding the right people is super difficult. But yeah, all in all, it's really, really cool. And, you know, again, just from an underground perspective, that's not, you know, that wasn't on my bingo card to almost get that gig. But it was cool. So again, I like to try to, you know, not really afraid of any scenario, you know, and in extreme metal, like, you know, I've never been able to use my singing voice, you know, with Atheist. I never would use that voice within the context of Atheist. So with Till the Dirt, I'm able to use my singing voice. So again, I feel lucky. I feel like I have multiple outlets to do all the things that I want to do as a songwriter and a performer and an artist. So I feel pretty lucky, you know, to have, you know, to have that available to me. So.
Absolutely, dude. And it's awesome. I mean, you have such a good body of work, dude. And are there any plans for Till the Dirt to tour or anything like that?
I want to do one more record. I want to do one more record and put it out, and then I'll have 2 records to choose from and to go out. And because, you know, I don't want to go out and like cover an Atheist song or something like that. I want Till the Dirt to be its own thing. And you know, and it's taking people a while to kind of grab on to that record. So what I'm hoping, the way I envision is to make another record that's even stronger. And people go, oh, fuck, what is this band? They realize that there is another album. I mean, it's taken bands a long time. Sleep Token was a band that, they took them 3 records to blow up overnight, as they say, you know what I mean? It's sometimes when you're doing something weird and different, it takes a while to absorb into the soil. And so I should have been prepared for that, but there were opportunities to go on tour but again, in full transparency, man, I'm not trying to jump in the back of a station wagon. You know what I mean? Like, I've done my time in little fucking vans and stinky sock smelling fucking car. And you know what I mean? Like, I want to at least be in a position to go out and have a fair shot at being least comfortable. And even if we're opening, I just want to be able to afford to not have to do it in a van.
Yeah, van tour.
I am spoiled.
Well, I mean, I've been lucky enough to see both sides of the coin, and van touring's rough, dude. If you don't have to sleep where your gear is, that's a good day. Or you can lay down all the way. That's huge, man.
Plus, man, it'll break your band up quick, man. You think you guys all get along and shit, but you climb in a van for 35 days and you quickly realize that, it's just human nature. That's just too close. You really got to be, I don't know, you got to be super reckless and young to love it, to love doing that in a van. You got to be really punk rock. And again, I did it for fucking years and years and years. I just, I'm not saying that if, a tremendous opportunity came up to open for fucking some massive show that I wouldn't consider jumping in a van to do it, just to be able to afford to do it. But I ain't trying to, I'm trying to create art that'll allow me to have a little more comfort. So I figured if I do another record, and I'm excited about that. I've got a lot of it written already, and hopefully I get Scott Burns to help me with this one as well, and finally get the point across on this band, because it's a really good band. It's a great record. It's just weird, man, and people got to give it an opportunity to sink in, just like Atheist. It took many years for people to go, oh, to finally get Atheist. Oh, I get it. It's it really took 15 years. I mean, I don't have that kind of time, so I'm hoping everybody just will find a good headspace to sit and listen to the record and not think about. In this day and age, it's really hard to put out a new record as an already established sort of, people expect. Just like Kerry King, everybody's just busting his balls about Slayer. And it's like, that's Kerry King, dude. You know what I mean? Like, Slayer is the fabric of everybody's influence. You know what I mean? Be respectful. I see a lot of young people talking shit and, fucking, he's old. It's like, yeah, you fucking wish you could fucking write a record like, you know what I mean? Like, we wish you had the career and the body of work that a guy like Kerry King has, you know what I mean? Like, but even he, with his solo record is out fighting that shit. He's fighting, trying to not, slum. He was living a good life for a long time, but it's different, man. You gotta, he's obviously gonna probably have a pretty easy time of transitioning into great headlining festival appearances. The cool thing is, man, is that Mark is fucking amazing. And as a singer, like, he sings that fucking Tom Araya shit perfectly, so they can cover Slayer songs. So really, he comes out fucking, it's more energy. It's like, I've seen some of the performances of Rain and Blood, and I think they did an older Slayer song too. Or Hello Waits, I think they did, or something. Somebody did Hello Waits recently live, but we just played with them in Mexico. We played with Death Angel, and so I was just talking to Mark about it, and that was a really cool opportunity for him. He's somebody that I've known since we were teenagers. Like, they came to Tampa way back in the day before we got signed, and we opened a show for Death Angel back when they got signed to. They were one of the first bands to sign to a major label besides Metallica, and they were only like 16 years old. They were like super young. So I've always had a lot of respect for those guys, and we see each other from time to time over the year. But anyway, as I'm saying, people get used to you being in one band, and that's where they want you to be, and they want to fucking keep you right there. So anytime you try to do something new, they're like, oh, I don't fucking like it. And eventually everybody just kind of comes around and goes, well, all right, well, I guess that, I've listened to, if you were looking for a new Slayer record, that's pretty close, that Kerry King thing, it's pretty close. It's the guy who wrote a lot of those songs. So if anything, there's some better soloing on there because Phil's soloing on there. And so there's some more interesting Kerry King is the, he's, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
He's not a virtuoso. He's specific in his style, but he's not a guy you're gonna go see at a clinic. Phil's at least laying out some good shit. Some tasty solos. So anyway, I don't mean to be talking shit at all. I'm actually trying to say good things, but I think it's it's a weird industry because also when you put out a new record, it comes out and all the magazines hear it before all the kids. And so everybody fucking puts their opinion out there. And then everybody just goes, yeah, I heard it sucked, or I heard it was like this, or I heard it was like a grunge record. I mean, people just and not actually listen to it. Just go, yeah, I heard it. It's not for me. And it's like, what the fuck? So that's a world that is way different than one I come from back in the day, So getting used to that. And also that's the first record I've released in well over 10 years. So it's a new process, the streaming, the lyric videos, it's just a different way of marketing. And it just kind of sucks to have all the press get the record before everybody else. I kind of wish that I had, we could be in a position where everybody hears it at the same time. That way, if somebody writes some bullshit, people can be like, I don't know what you're fucking listening to, but the record I just listened to fucking burns, so it translates into everything in our everyday life these days. I mean, we live in such a fucking crazy society right now that everybody's got an opinion about everything, and everybody wants to be heard, and everybody wants their opinion to be acknowledged, no matter how stupid it is, or how inaccurate their information is, and it translates into every aspect of life. And now it's getting into art, and streaming. People are just, I mean, even Eminem. That's another great example. The young kids are like, ugh, Eminem, talking shit about Eminem. Get the fuck, do your homework, fucking little assholes. Like that guy still crushes all your little new rapper people. He still fucking destroys all of them. So, grow the fuck up. It's funny to see the generational thing, because when he first came out, parents were freaking out. Kids loved it. Now the parents love it and the kids don't like it. And people are trying to, go back and listen to those old records and find things that are, applying it to the Me Too and his, oh, he's homophobic. He's, trying to cancel him. You're not gonna cancel him. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work. So it's just funny how people just want to kick you when you're down, or want to push you down and kick you. I mean, when you're doing something good. But I love a good story, a good comeback story. It's not even a comeback story, really. It's just because he never left the top, in my opinion. I haven't seen anybody ever be like him. I mean, he's just a wordsmith on a whole different levels. Anyway, back to metal.
You're absolutely right, dude, on a lot of different levels. Like the one, the press hears a record first, or like people hear one song and they form their entire opinion over one tune. And I don't know about you, but like albums should have some diversity, or like if you listen to Slayer, dude, like you should, we can we're gonna know what we're gonna get with Slayer or Kerry King. Like it's gonna sound like it. I agree, Mark's a badass singer. That sounded awesome. He's, even the original tunes plus the Slayer covers sound great, but back to the whole thing, like there are a lot of opinions out there, and it's a shame that people can't see past their own opinion a lot of times. And I mean, when you're the arbiter of taste, what's cool, it's really easy to say things, but like, sometimes people don't give things a chance that they should, and it's absolutely true, man.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of speaking from, from an artist's point of view that probably a lot of fans don't think about. As it's, you put, this very well as being an artist yourself, that it's just put so much into it. For somebody to only give it 35 seconds or 45 seconds, and then I've made my opinion, I'm moving on, I'm never going to come back to this. And it's like, really? And it's not until a bunch of other people get into it that they'll, okay, well, let me go back and have a listen. And, I just think that's, I wish I didn't care about that. I wish it didn't matter to me. And I always admire people that, even if they're full of shit, that say, oh, I don't care. It's like, oh, I do. I mean, I'm trying to make art that my kids will be proud of after I'm gone, and art that that still matters after I'm not here. I think that's the greatest thing you can do as an artist is have your art live on longer than you. I mean, that's kind of the goal of all the great painters, and I don't know if it was their goal, but it inevitably was the what happened. And yeah, man, you think about artists that have been dead for 25 years, and their music is still matters just as much now, if not more. So I want to be one of those guys.
Absolutely, dude. And like, how many great albums were like back in the old days when you'd listen to an album all the way through, like people may not have got it at first and they go back and revisit it again. And they're like, some of those albums are the best albums of all time. Like there's some, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Yeah, you can go back to look up Google Rolling Stone reviews of Led Zeppelin records. If you want to see just how full of shit people are that write about music, and just how full of shit they actually were, and the things that they said about records that we now know as fucking classics, you know what I mean? And it's funny just to see, because Zeppelin was so weird, they never made the same record twice. They always experimented with, Indian music and all kinds of weird instruments and stuff. And, it makes some little nerdy fucking writer guy uncomfortable. Well, I don't like all this, and then in these days, everybody just has such an overinflated opinion, about everything, because you have it at, used to be, you weren't able to just blast your opinion on and for everybody to see, there wasn't social media. So if you had that opinion, unless you hung out with that person, you didn't really know how full of shit they were, or how they saw things or heard things differently than you. But, just scrolling through your Facebook, you'd be like, what? And it's just, everybody's got an opinion, that opinion. And they feel like they want to be more harsh and more, to get the attention, or to be more daring, to their social media people. It's kind of gross, really, as social media and as being an older guy that lived before the internet. It's super fucking weird, man, how different my childhood was to how my kids are being raised, and in the world that they're growing up in. It's really weird, man.
Yeah, it's like there's no escape from it, is what it's like. It's like back in the old days, like your phone would ring, you had a choice to answer it or not, or somebody came knocking on your door. It was a lot different before people could just like release their opinion or their music into the world. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of good stuff's buried because there's just so much stuff, and it's just kind of a shame that there's a lot of great artists or great bands that don't get where they should, whatever that means, because there's just like a flood of just junk everywhere, man, or just like bad hype. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, especially having the ability to record at home, and people are able to use sort of AI technology now to make music. So any little nerdy kid that really doesn't have a lot of musical ability to actually play can piece together music, and just kind of inundates and floods the waves of the social media. And I don't know, but there's a lot of really great people that are using technology in a more interesting way. So, I mean, it's just like anything, technology has its great aspects, and it has its downfalls. And, but, so people musically have done, are you there?
Yo, keep going, dude. It's all good.
Okay.
I'll edit it.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. So I just think that, it's just like anything, there's people that are using it for good, and people that are just using it, to appear as though they're talented, because I mean, you can put, you can fake, you can use all kinds of ways to pretend you're, you really don't. I mean, with a keyboard, I think it happens a lot in hip hop. A lot of hip hop beats are put together just real simply, and just looped, and all of a sudden they're considered an artist. And it's like, yeah, but you're not like Quincy Jones. It's not like you wrote out the horn parts, and you wrote out and you wrote all the music for an orchestra to play. That's true talent to me. Not just using sampled sounds on a keyboard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I definitely know what you're referring to and what you mean. It's a lot different when you're creating it organically. And I'm not here to say that technology is a bad thing, but
no, I love it. There's many aspects that I love it. Just it shouldn't be something it shouldn't be everything you are. It should just be an instrument to an accessory, not a necessity.
Absolutely.
You should still be able to jump on stage and perform your music if technologically something fucking happens. I think there should be some, it just depends, I guess. If you're, it's a hard thing because from an artist point of view, I get it. If you have keyboards, you can't afford to have a keyboard player tour with you. I get that aspect of it. So in order to make it still sound like the record, you use backing tracks. And so, you know, but if those backing tracks aren't there, then, you know, I can't blame, they don't really have a choice but to not play because it's,
Right.
and so it's hard for a basic fan to understand why someone like, you know, Ronnie and Falling in Reverse would have an issue not playing because they didn't have laptops. Also, people don't understand that light shows are now, you know, to run right with a click track to an entire performance. So all those things are tied together. So if you don't have that laptop, you really can't do your fucking show. So it's not like Falling in Reverse can't get up and play. You know, those guys can play. You know, but they've built a show around those kinds of things. You know, and you know they need to. So the only reason I bring that up is because there's been this issue of them going back and forth, people going back and forth about technology, and I think there was a time where he had to cancel a show because of a laptop issue, and you know he took a lot of heat for that. But you know, it's just the world of music today is way different than it was when, you know, in the 80s and 90s. It's just, you know, but obviously it's great to be organic and be able to jump up and play versions of your songs. That's what I think would be the great equalizer is if you know a band like that we're able to say, you know what, we're gonna play the songs, but you're just gonna be missing a few things. You know what I mean? But still do the performance. You know, I think that would be cool. You know, to see a band do that.
Absolutely, man. And like, you know, backing tracks are a big part of music now. Like you said, you're running the lights off of them. You know, there's a lot of times like switching for amps or other things are going,
Yeah.
taking those cues too, the MIDI stuff or whatever. And, you know, I agree with you that people should be able to at least perform a version of their song or set, you know, not using their computer. And I think that it's a fine line between reliance and enhancement. I remember seeing like In Flames back in the day when I was a kid, and they had a keyboard player, man. And then the next time I saw him, the next tour, he wasn't there. I mean, he was sitting there drinking beer and playing keyboard, which is really cool. But the next time they came around, he wasn't there. And it's like, okay, I get that. But I think that, you know, having back, yeah, it is expensive, especially coming
every
from
man you have is so costly. You know, I mean, airline tickets, everything. So I mean, I get it and it's so hard to tour, and I don't think fans recognize and realize that either. And that's why ticket prices are so much. You know, they don't have to be as much as they are sometimes, but you know, I think you know, these massive promoters like Live Nation are fucking ruining. They're just messing everything up. So hopefully, it gets back to where, you know, artists can control their ticket sales more than you know, because all these extra fees and all this bullshit, that's not going to the band. You know what I mean? It's already hard enough for the band to tour and pay the bills, and so to have fans feel slighted at the end of your show when it really had nothing to do with you. It was this promoter's, you know, way of doing business, sucks. So anyway, you know, it's a tough business.
Absolutely, dude. And like Live Nation, they've like consolidated the market, so there's no other really competition. Or like even like the whole thing with the visas coming over here from a foreign country, they're making it really difficult for other people to come here even and play, man. Like I saw it's crazy.
It took Sodom fucking forever. You know, we just played with them at Maryland Death Fest, and those guys, you know, I mean, it took years to get their visas sorted, and it happens all the time where they just, you know, and it happens to Americans too. I mean, when we try to go into Canada, it's fucking hard. Canada does not fuck around, man. They don't want nobody in their country that's got a DUI or any kind of, you know, drug charge or anything like that. It could be something that happened to you when you were a teenager, and they'll be like, nope, everybody else can go through, but you can't. That really fucks up a tour. So a lot of bands have to cancel Canadian shows because of issues like that. So a lot of things go into play when trying to go on tour. So when your favorite band comes within 100 miles, God damn it, get in the car, grab a carload, and fucking go see the show, man. Because it's really the last frontier, the final frontier of the survival of music. Because nobody buys records hardly anymore, and nobody's making any money off records, and so bands can't exist without touring, and can't tour unless you show up. So
absolutely, dude. Well, Kelly, there's a lot to take away from this, and there's lots of words of wisdom, and you've had a really, really kick-ass career, and you're still kicking ass and intending to do so. Hell yeah, man. And is there anything that you'd like to say before we wrap this up, dude?
Yeah, I'm saying that, you know, maybe you don't know about my boy Matt, but you should look up his videos because he's a shredding guitar player. And
Thank you, man.
I have a lot of respect for your playing, man. You really, are a tremendous player, and I watched you when you were on tour, and I thought that was really impressive to get out and play on the bill under those circumstances. And, you essentially played without a band, right? I mean, it was
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like to go out and nobody does that anymore. Nobody goes out and does that kind of shit. And, yeah, you're super talented, and anybody out there should be snagging you up. You should be playing stadiums.
I appreciate. Well, thank you, dude.
All of your fans, all the fans of your podcast should know that about you. So that's what I wanted to say. And thanks for all your support, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, no worries, dude. And thank you for coming on the show and all the kind words, Kelly. And I really appreciate just getting to know you and that whole everything around that. So from a fan and a bro, dude, thank you, man.
Cheers, my friend. Much love. I'll see you on the road soon.
Hell yeah, dude. Have a good night, man.
All right, cheers.